Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, listeners, learners, respected ministers and managers, honorable doctors and directors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators, advisors, the most honorable President Mr. Modi and Prakash from USA, heartily, cordially welcome. It is nice time, nice place, nice session that we are recollecting, defining, explaining, describing our Indian Constitution. Let us go through what is law and social transformation. What changes brings law in our society? But before that, how law changes our thoughts, ideas. It is rightly said by Swami Vivekananda, if our thought is changed, then our eyes changed. Our eyes see whatsoever we think, we speak whatsoever we speak, we act whatsoever we speak, and whatsoever we do in our with our actions, that becomes our habit. Repetition of the action becomes habit, and this habit develops our character. Ultimately, character is our fortune, fate. So the journey of our fortune, fate starts from our thought or ideas. Let us go through what our sources say about law and social transformation. Earlier we have discussed different definitions, how law and society are interdependent. Now let us discuss what is law. To know the definition of law, important in relation to law and social changes, the definition of law is also important because in the rule of law, law has an important place. This is law which regulates, control, or rules on society. The existence of law is going on in society since ancient time. It is not being implemented after independence. These natural laws were governing us from the ancient time when there was no codified law. Then the order of king was the law. It was duty of every person to obey the orders of king. It was said that the king is to be obeyed. Gradually, codified law developed in society. Many laws were made in British period. Their law has important place in social changes. Roscoe Pound used the word law in three senses. Law is a statutory system by which human activities can be kept in social control in any political or organized society. Law acts as authorities' guides. Law includes every judicial and administrative activity of country, justice according to law. Patton also said that by supporting the views of those coupons, that law must be understood as said by those coupons. The text book of jurisprudence. No universal definition of law has been given till now. Many jurists and law experts has given its definition by their own way. It is said about law that law is nothing but a codified common sense. What are the types of law? Laws are of many types. In England, it is divided into two parts. One is common law and second is special law. Generally, law is divided into three parts. One is constitutional law, two is law of equity, three is common law. Further, we can divide it, we can include in it. One is conditional law and two is administrative law. Criminal law at present it is divided into two parts. One is national law and two is international law. When we talk about the national law, it is also further divided public law and private law. International law is also of two types. Public international law, private international law. Public law is again divided into three parts. One is constitutional law, two is administrative law, and three is penal law. Private law is also divided into four parts: personal law, property law, compulsion related law, contradiction of law. Compulsion related law are of three types. One is contradict, two is quasi-contract, three is law of torts. Sources of law. If we define the sources of law, sources means place of origin. Law has also same place of origin, which is known as sources of law. These are following considered as sources of law. According to Salmon, law has two sources. One is formal law, formal sources, two is material sources. Material sources are also two types: historical source and two is statutory source. Statutory sources is also divided into four types: legislation, procedure, customary law, and conventional law. Catton has described following sources of law: obligatory sources. Sources are of three types: customary law, legislation, precedents. Precedents. Austin included law of equity in it. In custom law, custom or custom of usage is considered as first source of law. Custom means such rules which are in existence from a long time, which is followed by society without any interference. That's why these has received power of law. There are following things that are necessary for lawful custom. One is that is reasonable, in existence from a long time, it followed since a long time, it is used as a right, peaceful practice, not inconsistent of any law, which is not immoral or against public rules. Now let us define precedents. Precedents are also an important source of law. Precedent means decision of higher courts, which are binding on subordinate courts. It is mentioned in Article 141 of Constitution that the law declares by Supreme Court is binding over the subordinate courts of the states. Sugarlam versus the state of Rajasthan, year 2006. SC 3258. In this matter, Supreme Court decided that High Court will have to follow the decisions declared by Supreme Court. Krishna Chandra Mandal versus Srimati Madhvi Devi, year 1996, Patna 159. In this matter, High Court declared that precedents should be followed by considering them final and binding. New India Insurance Company Limited versus Yadu Sambhaji Murd, year 2011. Section 666. In this matter, Supreme Court decided that precedence also applies on tribunals. Uttaranchal Water Institution versus Kishore Pandey. In this matter, Supreme Court decided that precedents have respective effects, such as precedents have legal power. It is binding over subordinate courts. It is necessary that precedents should not be adverse or inconsistent to law or rules. Oriental Insurance Company versus Srimati Sharma. Similarly, precedents cannot be made without considering legal situation. What is legislation? Legislation is also an important source of law. Legislation means laws made by legislation, either made by parliament or state legislature. Legislature is popular source of law. Legislation time to time passes acts which are binding. These laws are easily acceptable due to be codified, such as law has three following sources. They have important contribution in social transformation. The official language of the Union shall be Hindi in Devanagari script. What are the provisions of language in our constitution? Does the effect of social transformation reflects on these provisions? The language and script of any country. Is the mirror of the civilization and culture of the country. Language is a better way to regulate the feeling of friendship and brotherhood among humans. Social transformation has important contribution of language because language is a mediator of person and society. Sometimes the situation and uprising arises due to language. Linguistic movements has divided the society. The south part of India, many movements were run against Hindi. This developed the feeling of regionality. Many states came in existence due to language. In short time to time, many changes has been done in society due to language. Hindi is most popular in our country. What are the constitutional situations? Article 17 has detailed description regarding language. Hindi has been declared as national language. Article 343 says that the official language of the Union shall be Hindi in Devanagari script. Such as Hindi was declared as our official language. But the sad part is this that till now Hindi has not gained its place. The main its main reason is the clause 2 of the article 343. According to clause 2 of article 343, for a period of 15 years from the commencement of this constitution, the English language shall continue to be used for all the official purposes of the Union for which it was being used immediately before such commencement, such as a period of 15 years from the commencement of this constitution. The use of English language be used in official purpose and this period is constantly increasing under class 3. It is provision in clause 3 that parliament may be the parliament may by law provide for the use after the shared period of 15 years of the English language. Although Hindi has been declared as official language in Article 343.1, but in practical English language is used for the official language. In this regard, R.R. Dalway versus the State of Tamil Nadu, year 1976, section 1559, is a good example. The matter was that Tamil Nadu government prepared a pension scheme for the agitators of Hindi against. This pension scheme was challenged in Supreme Court. Supreme Court considered it unconstitutional by saying that if any state excites the human feelings against Hindi or any other language, then it is important to control such mentality at very start because it is anti-national or anti-democratic tendency, such as time to time efforts has been made to divide the society on the name of language. A similar matter is Lakshmi Bai, National College of Physical Education. It is a central institution of training of physical education situated in Gwalior. The institution provided education in English medium. A public interest litigation was presented by Dr. Amrish Kumar to provide recognition of Hindi medium in this institution. Then Supreme Court directed to maintain Hindi medium also along with English medium. Dr. Amrish Kumar versus Lakshmi Bai, National College of Physical Education, Gwalior, year 1997, Madhya Pradesh, 43. In this case, Madhya Pradesh High Court said that India has completed its 50 years of independence, but our minds are still slave. According to Article 343 of Constitution, Hindi has been declared as our official language. But very few ambitious people who are at high has become hurdle to give the Hindi language its place. The ratio of English knowing people in India is very less. But except that, they consider themselves higher than others. It is well known that a child can express his thoughts in his mother tongue in a better way. To impart English upon them stops their mental and intellectual development. This is an important decision which is related to social transformation. Social evolution and mental and intellectual development of person is possible in mother tongue only. It is another thing that in the Hindi, the Clerkship Samiti versus Union of India, year 1990, section 851 matter. Supreme Court did not hold this unconditional, unconstitutional. When it was denied, keep the Hindi medium of examination. But in the matter of Union of India versus Murasoli Maran, year 1977, section 225, Supreme Court said that the blinding order to provide education in Hindi language does not violate any article of Constitution, although it defines the Article 343, 344 of Constitution. English medium students, Parents Association versus the State of Karnataka, year 1994, Supreme Court, section 1702. In this case, it was considered a duty of state to provide preliminary education to children in their mother tongue. It is the conclusion of all above decisions that language has deep relation with society of language, plays important role in social transformation. Language of courts. Article 348 of Constitution has provision regarding the language of Supreme Courts and High Courts. According to that, all proceedings in the Supreme Court and in High Court shall in English language. With the consent of President, Governor can authorize the High Court or other courts of that state to use Hindi or any other language. The authoritative text of the bill, ordinance, order, rule, effects, acts, legislation of state can use any other language than English for the use in bill introduced in or next passed rules regulation receiving translation in English, such as the language of Supreme Courts and legislature in English in the matters Madhu Limia versus Vadmurti Year 1970 Section 738. In this matter, during hearing of Finnish Corps, a party requested to plead in Hindi. On this other party should objection that he does not know Hindi. So agreements must be done in English. Supreme Court presented three options in this regard. He can agree in English, he can present any other pleader on his behalf, he can present written arguments in English. He did not accept any of the opinion. Then Supreme Court said that he shall present the arguments in English only because it is language of Supreme Court. Regional languages. In 8th schedule of our constitution has recognition of many regional languages. Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Malayalam, Marathi, Odia, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Sindhi, Tamil, Telugu, Urdu, Nepali, Manipuri, Konkani, Konkani, Bodo, Dongri, Maithili, Santhali. It is policy of union that which language should be given place in schedule of constitution, which not. No interference in such policy units. It violates any constitutional system. It is against any constitutional system or not malicious. The object of providing place to regional language in Constitution is it promote mother tongue. Children's mental or intellectual development can be done by mother tongue. India is a secular country. How we can explain it? Let us describe in detail about the right to freedom of religion by Constitution. Why do we understand by freedom of conscience? Let us describe the constitutional situation in this regard. Religion and society. has deep connection. Religion and society has deep connection. As earlier we have discussed, law and society. Now we are discussing religion and society. Religion-based society gets a different identity. Religion affects the person and society in various ways. Religion is a subject to conscience. Its origin is also done with conscience. That's why our constitution has special place of secularism. Our country is a secular country. That is, every person has freedom regarding religion. No religion can be imposed forcefully over any person. Everything is free to follow, practice and propagate religion according to their conscience. According to the freedom of religion, it is mentioned in Article 25 of Constitution that all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right freely to profess, practice and propagate religion. Such as in Article 25, every person has equal right of freedom of conscience, right to freely profess religion, practices, propagate religion. It shows that the secularism of nation secular nation secular nation does not mean from non-religious as non-secular nation, but from a nation which does not have any particular religion. Established Society of India versus State of Andhra Pradesh, year 1992, Andhra Pradesh 310. In this matter, Andhra Pradesh High Court said that secular nation does not mean by non-religious nation. Secularism is an ideal. The person a process secularism is not only a guarantee of religion, conscience, culture, or educational rights, but a feeling of brotherhood, harmony, and unity. Such as the aim of freedom of religion is guarantee of religious, conscience, cultural, educational rights, transmission of brotherhood, harmony, and unity. Brotherhood, unity, harmony are symptoms of an ideal society and social transformation, which has been provided a constitutional recognition under Constitution. It was shared about secularism by Supreme Court that secularism is a positive concept of equal behavior with all religions, as are Gomal versus Union of India Year 1994, Section 1918. It means that secularism is an enterprise of religious tolerance and social warmth. The conditions and acts which forbids the right of freedom of religion is considered unconstitutional. Every person has freedom to do all acts of religion and related to religion. Which act is related to religion is depends on the rules of every community and it shall be decided by court. Sundown dance is essential religious act of Anand marches which could not be stopped. Acharya Jagdishananda Anubhut versus Commissioner of Police Kolkata year 1990 Kolkata 336 but cow cutting during Bakrid is not a religious act. State of West Bengal versus Ashutosh Lahiri year 1995 section 464. And nourishment are related to each other. Entering in temple with wearing sari is not ritual. So along with sari, suit, churidars is allowed in temple. Such as the grounds of freedom of religion are community practice, religious activities of community, cultures, social culture is controlled or regulated by freedom of religion. Whenever religious revolution happens, a change occurs in society. Religion is made by social practice. So social practices and surroundings also changes with religion. What are the restrictions? Here it is provided that freedom of religion is not free. It has some restrictions. In following conditions, the right of freedom of religion can be restricted. One is public system, two is ethic, three is health. Public system, ethic and health. Freedom of religion can be restricted due to these three. No person can use the freedom of religion against them. The Acharya of Anand Marag Jagdishwaranand Adhanath Avdanath versus Police Commission Kolkata 1984 for SSC 81. In this matter, Supreme Court said that it is constitutional to prohibit the dangerous ayuth and Tando dance with swords. Church of God in India versus KKR Majesty Colony Welfare Association Year 2000 Section 2773. It was not considered as part of religion to disturb others with loud noise by loudspeakers. Gurleen Kaur versus the state of Punjab Year 2009 NOC 2988 Punjab and Haryana. In this matter, Punjab and Haryana court consider it is essential part of Sikh religion to do here unshorn person who violates this cannot become the member of Shiromani Gurudwara Management Committee. Dilli Thoms versus Union of India Year 2006 Section 1650. In this matter, second marriage while first wife is alive by accused was instituted under Section 494 of Indian Penal Code 1860. Accused adopted Muslim religion to escape from this. Supreme Court did not consider it constitutional because the act of accused was against ethics. Emmanuel versus State of Kerala, year 1987, Section 748. In this matter, the compulsion of national anthem in school for the students of Jehovah community was considered unconstitutional. There are many more matters where the restriction over the freedom of religion was considered lawful on the basis of public system, ethic, or health. Freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 26 Constitution provides the freedom to manage religious affairs. According to that, every religious denomination shall have the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes. To manage its own affairs in matters of religion, to own and acquire movable and immovable property, to administer such property in accordance with law, such as every religious domination has full right to manage its affair of religion. Some examples of religious affairs. One is organization of religious trials. Dargah Committee Ajmer versus Sayyid Hussain Ali, year 1961, Section 1402. Offering to God time to time organized functions and appointment of servicer or priest for such work. Commissioner HRF versus LTs, Shamir, year 1954, Section 282, etc. Along with that, every demonization has right to manage acquire and manage immovable or immovable property, but such acquisition and management must be lawful. Restrictions can be imposed upon them on the basis of public system, ethnic, or health. Here it is provided that the provisions of acquire and management of property applies on proverbial activities, not on spiritual activities. Jagannath Temple Act 1954 administered the proverbial activities of temple, so it is constitutional. Every religious demonstration, every religious dominion has rights to establish and nourish religious institutions for religious activities, where establishments and nourishment are related to each other. These must be read together. Its combined effect is that the demonization, the demonization which established has right to nourish also, who does not establish cases the right to nourish. Aziz Bash versus Union of India, year 1968, section 622. In this matter, Supreme Court decided that the Aligarh Muslim University was established under an act. It was not establishment by Muslims, so they cannot claim to nourish or maintain it. Religious education, Article 28 has provision regarding religious education. According to that, no religious instrument shall be provided in any educational institution wholly maintained out of state funds. No restriction on educational institution which is administered by the state but has been established under any endowment or trust. No person, no person attending any educational institution recognized by the state or reading aid out of state funds shall be religious education without the consent of their guardian. Aruna Rai versus Union of India, year 2003, section 3176. In this matter, Supreme Court said that where no points of religious education given in any national syllabus, but it is related to moral values, they are to need to make request to Central Advisory Board. Where no point of religious education is given in any national syllabus, but it is related to moral values. There need to there is a need to make request to Central Advisory Board. DAV College, Jalandhar, State, State of Punjab, 1971. SCC 269. In this matter, the preaching of Guru Nanak was not considered only nutrition of religious matters, but the life and teaching of Guru Nanak was considered as matter of educational teaching and research. Such as Article 25 to 28 of Constitution regulate and control for religious system of law. Our Constitution does not give importance to regionalism. We will describe it later on. Please continue your presence. Thank you for your presence in listening holy words of this holy cultural Indian dance. Now let us discuss Constitution of India. What is Cripps Commission? During the World Wars, the position of England was getting weaker day by day. His military power was also declining. In such a way, in such a situation, after the August proposal, it was announced in the British Parliament on 11 March 1942 by the then Prime Minister of British, Winston Churchill, that the British government decided to send Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the British War Cabinet, to India with a constitutional proposal so that the problem of the people of India can be solved in a peaceful manner. That was the Cripps mission. Cripps came to Delhi on 22nd March 1942 and discussed with the members of the Executive Council of the Governor General here. He had also contacted various political parties and sects of India and made them aware of the plan of Cripps mission. The Cripps mission returned to England on 13 April 1942 after a stay of about 20 days. The constitutional proposals of the Cripps mission were published as the draft declaration of the British government on 30 April 1942. The main proposals of Cripps mission are as follows. To speech and expression. One is to speech and expression. Two is until a new constitution is prepared for India, the direct responsibility of the defense of India will be reserved with the British monarch. Three is all administration except immunity will be handed over to the Indian members of the Governor General's Executive Council. Three, such a federation will be established in India, which will be a dominion of the British Commonwealth, but there will be no authority and pressure from the British government on it. Immediately after the war is over, a constitution making committee will be formed to prepare constitution for India, whose members will be elected by the Indians only. In this there will be representation of all the parties, classes, communities and sects so that all together can accept the draft of the new constitution with one opinion. If the provinces do not like the new constitution, then they can make their own new constitution. No entity shall be forced to join the dominated by the British government. The number of members of the constitution making committee shall not exceed one-tenth of that of the provincial legislative assemblies. The leaders of the major political parties of India will be given place in various committees such as Governor General Executive Council, Ward Committee, Pacific Council of Commonwealth, and United Nations. Although a lot of effort was made, although a lot of effort was made to take the Indian into confidence through the proposals of the Cripps mission. But despite all this, these proposals were not embraced by the Indians and they rejected these proposals. The ultimate goal of Indians was the attainment of Swaraj, but there was no provision in this regard in the proposals of Cripps mission. The constitution of the constitution making committee was also faulty. One-third of its members were to be nominated, which was against the democratic system. The representatives of the states were also to be nominated by the kings. There was no system to select them and send them. This was also a violation of democratic principles. States and provinces were given the option to remain separate, which was completely impractical and undemocratic. On the one hand, he had the right to go to the constitution making committee and put forth his views. On the other hand, he had the freedom to make a separate constitution for himself, which was a contradictory arrangement. Critics have referred to the Cripps mission as a forward day check from a sinking bank. Wavell Plan 1945, the failure of the Cripps mission and the apathy of other attempt to establish unity between Hindus and Muslims was made by Chakravarti Rajgopalacharya in the year 1944 because he knew that freedom is not possible without Hindu-Muslim unity. This was called the Rajgopalacharya formula. But this formula could not succeed due to the dogma of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Meanwhile, Hindu-Muslim unity was once again attempted by Gulabhai Desai, a prominent leader of the Congress. Let us take break, please. you for waiting. Let's start again. Meanwhile, Hindu-Muslim unity was once again attempted by Bhulabhai Desai, a prominent leader of the Congress. He proposed to establish a mixed government in independent India in January 1945, and it was also said that the number of votes would be equal in the government. This was addressed as the Desai Liaquat formula, but Jinnah also rejected this formula because he was not included in this negotiation. The strange thing is that even Lord Wavell spoke of Hindu-Muslim unity. And in this spirit, he went to London on March 21, 1945. He returned to India on 4 June 1945 after staying in London for about 2.5 months. In the meantime, he discussed with India's Secretary, Lord Emery, and made some proposals to solve the problem. These proposals were placed in the House of Commons by Lord Emery. This proposal came to be known as the Wavell Plan. The following suggestions were proposed in this plan. In the Executive Council of the Governor General, except the Governor General and the Commander in Chief, all other members will be Indians. The number of Hindus and Muslims in the council will be equal. The foreign departments will be in the hands of the Indian members. This council will function as an interim government under the Government of India Act 1935. The Defence Department will be with the Governor General. The administration of all matters except marginal and tribal welfare will be entrusted to the Indian ministers. The Viceroy can exercise his discretion only in unavoidable circumstances. Responsible government will be established in the provinces also by abolishing the governments of the governors. After the announcement of the Wavell Plan, all the Congress leaders and Mahatma Gandhi were released and a conference was called in Shimla on 25 June 1945. The case 21 members of different sections and parties participated in this conference. Gandhi, Jinnah and Maulana Azad did not attend this conference, but this conference also could not be successful because of Jinnah's stubbornness. What is cabinet mission? The Shimla conference called under the Wavell Plan was unsuccessful. Wavell himself took the responsibility of it and once again tried to resolve the impasse on August 2, 1945, a conference of governors of all the provinces was called, but in the meantime, the political situation changed rapidly. In the elections held in England, the Labour Party came to power and Clement Attlee became the Prime Minister of Britain. Lord Patrick Lawrence was made the Secretary of India. In these changed circumstances, Lord Wavell was called to England, where constitutional questions for India were discussed. After much uproar on 9 February 1946, India's Secretary Lord Patrick Lawrence announced in the Lords Assembly that the British government had decided to send a shipload of British cabinet ministers to India to resolve the constitutional deadlock in India. In this delegation, India's Secretary Lord Patrick Lawrence, Sir Stafford Cripps and Lord A.P. Alexander will attend. This cabinet mission reached Delhi on 23 March 1945. This cabinet mission discussed with the Viceroy, governors of different provinces, leaders of different parties, native kings, etc. It is said that a total of 182 meetings of the cabinet mission were held and discussions were held with 472 Indians. A formula was prepared by the Inter-Cabinet Mission in which the following proposals were placed. One is establishment of an all-India federation in India, in which the territories and native states of British India should be included. The subjects of defense, foreign affairs and telecommunication, etc. should be placed under the jurisdiction of the Union. The Union consists of an executive and a legislature consisting of representatives of British India or native states. Except the subjects assigned to the Union, all other subjects remained with the provincial councils. The provinces would be allowed to form groups with the legislature and the executive. There will be such a provision in the constitution about the union and the groups that even after 10 years, the provisions of the constitution are reviewed on the basis of the above proposals. A new constitution of India was to be made. There was also a proposal for the formation of the Constituent Assembly for constitution making. According to the proposal of the Cabinet Mission, there could be a total of 292 members in the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly meetings were to be held in Delhi. To avoid delay, it was also suggested that the members of the Constituent Assembly should not be elected directly by adult franchising, but by indirect election method. After all these arrangements, the Cabinet Mission returned to England again on June 29, 1946. In the eyes of Indians, the proposal of the Cabinet Mission was the best document forever. Though this proposal, a relentless effort was made to keep the Indians tied in one thread. It had also saved the Indians from being fragmented. Yet in the eyes of critics, this proposal was also full of many shortcomings. It is criticized on the following grounds. One is, it is wrong to constitute the Constituent Assembly by indirect election method. Due to its not being formed on the basis of adult suffrage, the real representation of the people could not be done on it. It was impractical to first make constitutions for the provinces and groups and later to make federal constitutions. There was no legal there was no legal justification for dividing the provinces into three parts. The weakest aspect of this proposal was that it was either completely accepted or completely rejected. There was no opportunity for conditional or reconciliation. Although the demand for the partition of India and separate Pakistan was rejected in its resolution, the Hindu-Muslim unity could not remain unaffected by the protection provided to the rights of minorities. Giving the native states the choice of whether or not to join the confederation was flawed. The way the provinces were classified in this was against the interest of the Sikhs. The constitution of the Constituent Assembly proposed by the Cabinet Mission was accepted by the Congress, but the Muslim League, denying this, had made up its mind to make direct action for the attainment of Pakistan. As a result, on August 16, 1946, heavy atrocities were committed on Hindus by the majority of Muslims in Calcutta. Inhuman incidents like murder, arson, rape took place. Under all these circumstances, an interim government was formed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on September 2, 1946, in which there were 12 members. On the other hand, on December 9, 1946, a meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held in Delhi, but the Muslim League did not participate in it, terming the constitution of the Constituent Assembly as illegal. The Muslim League decided to boycott it. It is at least announcement. The standoff between the Muslim League and the Congress regarding the formation of the Constituent Assembly still remained constant. The Muslim League was adamant on the decision to boycott the Constituent Assembly, and the Congress was threatening to resign from the government. This situation was not to last long. To deal with this odd situation, the then Prime Minister of Britain, Attlee, made some announcements on 20 February 1947, which was known as Attlee's Declaration. Attlee announced in Parliament that by June 1948, the process of transferring the power of India to Indian government will be started. Lord Mountbatten to be the new Governor General of India in place of Lord Beville. The task of handing over the powers of governance to India will be done by Lord Mountbatten. This was no doubt a good sign for India. Now the transfer of power was almost certain. Attlee himself had given a call that now the people of India should forget their differences and be ready to discharge the responsible government. Mountbatten plan. Lord Mountbatten was the 34th and last Governor General of India. He took charge of his post on 22nd March 1947. Lord Mountbatten studied the situation. He was stunned by the situation arising out of the communal riots in India. The Muslim League had closed the limits of subversive activities. There was bloodshed in the country. The demand for a separate Pakistan was at its peak. In view of all these circumstances, Sir Vallabhbhai Patel accepted the demand for a separate Pakistan and said that instead of killing innumerable innocent people, it is better to create a separate Pakistan. However, Gandhiji was a staunch opponent of a separate Pakistan, but later, after discussion with Lord Mountbatten, he agreed. After the partition of India was agreed upon, Lord Mountbatten prepared a plan which was passed by the British Parliament. This plan is known as Mountbatten Plan. The main provisions of this plan were as follows: to speech and expression, India was divided into two dominant, Hindustan and Pakistan. Transfer of power should be done on 15 August 1947 instead of June 1948. Punjab and Bengal legislative assemblies should be held in two parts. One part will represent the Muslim majority districts and the other will represent the rest of the province. If the whole of Punjab decides not to participate in the Constituent Assembly, then the Northwest Frontier Province will be given the opportunity to decide about its position. They have to ensure through referendum whether they would like to join the Constituent Assembly of India or the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Residents of Assam, the Muslim majority, Sylhet district will also have to decide through a plebiscite whether they would prefer to live in Assam or East Bengal. A similar opportunity will be given to British Balochistan to decide whether they would like to join the Constituent Assembly of India or the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. After the partition of India and Pakistan, a boundary determination commission will be set up to determine their boundaries. Government of India and Pakistan will be free to accept or not to accept membership of the Commonwealth. There will be no change in the policy of the British government towards the native states of India, and their sovereignty will not be adversely affected by partition and transfer of power. The Indian Independence Bill should be presented in the British Parliament on 14 July 1947 as consent to become two separate dominions of India and Pakistan, which was passed by the Parliament on 18 July. Later, it was called Indian Independence Act 1947. On passing of this act on 15 August 1947, India and Pakistan were declared as two independent nations. The declaration of India as an independent nation was certainly a happy event for the people of India, but it was equally shared. The splitting of India into two, but this was what fate had approved. Apart from this, there was no other option. When India became an independent country, its first Governor General became Lord Mountbatten. He assumed the charge of his new post on 15 August 1947. The India Independence Act 1947 is considered an important legislation ensuring the process of transfer of power. Brothers and sisters, we will discuss later on. Please keep continue your presence. Let us comment upon the ancient penal judicial system of India in brief. Our old penal justice system was being extremely hard, complex, and inhuman. The judicial process was also more or less of this form. At that time, reformative and humanitarian view was lateral. A good example of punishable justice system is observed during the Mughal period as life shall go for life and tooth for tooth, eye for eye and foot for foot. This was extremely barbarian justice system. The judicial process was also extremely hard. There was no consideration of principle of natural justice. Babylonian penal justice system. It was also called Hammurabi penal justice system. Under it there are various categories of offences. And hard and barbarian punishments are prescribed for them. Roman penal justice system. The classification of offences in Roman penal justice system has been made in illogical and disorderly way according to the process of prosecution. The offences are classified in three kinds. Publica judicia. Such offences are covered under publica judicia, which are prohibited by the special law. Extraordinary criminal. Such offences are covered under extraordinary criminal for which there are no special law and left upon the discretion of criminal courts. Private delicta. Private delicta. Such offences are covered under private delicta wherein the right to do special action is available to injured parties. Muslim penal justice system in the Mughal period governance, the offenders were punished according to the penal system prevalent in India. This penal system was governed by the Quran. This system was extremely barbarian and inhuman. There was no consideration of principles of natural justice in this system, even for the offences of small gravity. Hard punishments were given. For example, the hands of accused were cut off for the offense of theft, and on the other hand, the accused was beaten by the sword in the case of fornication. Raji Mufti Malvi had made then contribution in the just administration. The judicial process was extremely complex and impractical. To to stiffen the hardness and errors of Muslim panel justice system resulted in badly suspicious, weak and uncertain system, and the objects of justice were not fulfilling by it. Following four types of punishments were there in penal justice system of the concerned time. One is Kisha. Kisha means revenge. Kisha was applicable in the case of intentionally murder, making severe injury wherein it was said to the sufferer party that he may take revenge in any manner in which he desires. The form of this penal justice system was life shall go for life and tooth for tooth, eye for eye and foot for foot. The principle of Kisha was applicable only in the respect of the offences related to body and not on the offences related to property. Diya means value of blood. The compensation in view of blood was given to the sufferer party in the cases of unknowingly physical hurting or severe injury. In the cases where the punishment was defined, then it can be changed to diya. The sufferer party or his heirs were having right to elect one of the punishment, that is either kisha or diya. For example, in the case of murder or severe injury, diya can be elected in place of kisha by the sufferer party, and they can get compensation in place of the accused. It was an optional penal justice system. Had or good. The word meaning had is limitation. Under it, the punishment was determined for the specific offense against society, offense against religion, offense against customs. In these offenses, only the prescribed punishment was given. Neither that can be changed nor that can be reduced or increased. In case of proven of offense, the offender was to undergo defined punishment under these. For illegal copulation, the punishment of death by showering of stones or by lashing was fixed. In the case of theft, the provision of cutting of hands, etc., on false alleging for fornication for a married woman, punishment of striking with 80 canes was fixed. The punishment of had was considered as extremely hard. Barbarian, inhuman and rude, there was no place for mercy in it. Tazir means discretionary. Under this arrangement of punishment, the punishment was being given by the justices according to their discretion, as one is imprisonment, banishment, physical punishment, fisticuffs on ears, or to do any other disrespectful behavior. The justice may award a new punishment at his discretion. The punishments under Tajir were being given for such offences for which there was no arrangements in Kisha, Diya or Had. The nature and severity of the offence was taken into consideration at the time awarding punishment under Tajir. These offences were generally of normal nature, as to abuse, use of dirty words, false allegations, bestiality, sodomy, to damage public property, disturbing public peace, indecent conduct, to do act against morality, to do general offense against the body, human crucifixion. Under the instantaneous punishment arrangement, the human crucifixion was classified in these following five steps. One is Qatal Ahmad. With the intention of murder of a person, murdering him, a little weapon was killed. Qatal Amal. Qatal Shahba Ahmad. With such a weapon by which the death is not possible, causing death of a person was called Qatal Shahba Ahmad. Qatal Khat. Causing death of a person unintentionally or by mistake was called Qatal Khat. You know, involuntary homicide, when a person was caused to death by another person without any intention or desire, then that was called involuntary homicide by involuntary acts. Accidental homicide. Accidental homicide. Accidenta caused death was called accidental homicide. In this way, the penal justice arrangements and judicial process of the Mughal period was: one is Haldinish, means barbarian, two is hard, three is inhuman, four is uncertain, and five is voluntary. Next, you will listen. Mention in brief the British judicial system. Now let us go through legal theory and human rights philosophy. Legal theory and human rights philosophy. Jurisprudence in the philosophy of positive law. Let us explain it. Austin is considered to be the student of famous jurist Jeremy Bentham. Both Austin and Bentham were the follower of analytical school of law. Austin wanted to do scientific study of law, but he, in the definition of the jurisprudence, used the word philosophy instead of word science. Austin has defined jurisprudence as jurisprudence is the philosophy of positive law. The use of word philosophy instead of science has been considered to be due to more popularity of philosophy than science among the thinking of jurists during 17th and 18th century. According to Austin, the actual meaning of jurisprudence is the formal analysis of legal concepts. Essential elements. The definition of Austin shows two essential elements of jurisprudence. One is positive law. It means the positive authorized, expressed or unexpressed by the sovereign or supreme government in an independent political society. Thus, the definition of positive law only includes law which can be said to be definite or powerful, but not the divine law, conventional law, statutory law, international law, action, mercy or law, dependent on morality, etc. What is philosophy? Austin has used the general jurisprudence of philosophy of positive law in a particular meaning and in a form of synonym. Austin has used comparative along with general and general principles along with the philosophy. Thus, the definition of jurisprudence by Austin means with principles, notion, or distinction found in several law systems. Thus, philosophy means with general principles of law. According to Austin, jurisprudence studies the definite prevailing law. A definite prevailing law could be a subject matter of specific or general jurisprudence. Specific jurisprudence. Specific jurisprudence is the science of any definite law method or its part. A positive law rule is related to any particular community and its study is limited to these communities only. It is the reason that it is called specific jurisprudence of national or national jurisprudence. General jurisprudence Austin worried that although every law system has its own characteristics, but still there are few principles, notion or distinction which are found in every system in a similar form. Hence, Austin means by general jurisprudence by such science which is related to those principles, notion or distinction which are common in all law systems. Austin has given following illustration of various types of principles, notion and distinctions. Duties, rights, independence, custom, punishment, remedy, sovereignty, political society. Difference between written or codified and unwritten or uncodified laws, or difference between law ordered by sovereign or law ordered by subordinate authorities. Right in them, that is, right against the whole world, like property, related right and right against any particular person, that is right in personam. Distinction between materialistic right related to property and restricted rights arising out of property. Difference between liabilities of particular person arising out of breach of specific contracts and liabilities arising out of accidents. Distinction between civil injury arising out of personal rules and offence committed on breach of rules. In its conclusion, we can conclude as this analysis is shown, the principles obtained from several definite systems are the subject matter of general jurisprudence. Merits and demerits of law has no actual or direct connection with jurisprudence. Although general principles and distinctions are found in several law systems, even they are not considered sufficient in similar sense in all systems. Specific jurisprudence is the science of any definite law system or its any part and it is practical. In its criticism, the definition of Austin has been criticized by several jurists. These jurists have also given their definition of jurisprudence. Olen Holland and Salmon are the main critics. The base of the criticism by Holland has been the classification of jurisprudence by Austin into specific and general prudence. Holland says that jurisprudence is a progressive science. It is universal, it cannot be classified or distinguished into general and specific. General and specific form of specific jurisprudence is unnecessary, and the classification of general and specific jurisprudence is illusory. The base of criticism by Salmon has been the practically Salmon viewed that it is not necessary to find any principle in the simpler form in several systems that subject of jurisprudence because it is not a condition precedent for universal acceptance of any principle for the purpose of science of law. Salmon said that specific jurisprudence is not the general study of law system, but it is the study of common or basic elements of particular legal system. Famous jurist Bias has also criticized the definition of Austin on following grounds. One is Austin did not mention any ground for the developed and extinct form of any law system. Austin did not mention that general principles are those which are found factually common or are considered common for any region. Austin also did not classify that those notions which he had mentioned in his book are actually found in a well form of a law system. Buckland is also a critic of Austin. Buckland is also a critic of Austin. Buckland criticized the definition of Austin by saying that Austin has used general jurisprudence but has not followed in conduct. Even with all this criticism, the definition of Austin is considered to be relevant in various forms. Later on, the definition by Austin was reformed by Holland. The continuous present space we will discuss tomorrow. Jurisprudence is the formal science of positive law, Holland, and we will explain it tomorrow. Now let's discuss legal education and research methodology. Legal education and research methodology. Highlight the history and expansion. Highlight the history and expansion of legal education in India. In India, the beginning and development of legal education can be studied under two titles. It can be studied under two titles. One is legal education before independence. The beginning of legal education was done before 1947. That is during British time. Earlier, to become an advocate, one has to go to Banaras Hindu University or to Kolkata and Chennai for studies. At that time, Arabic, Farsi, law, maths, astrology, logic, grammar, and natural philosophy subjects were taught in India. First time law college was established as Hindu college and Al-Krishnan college. The law education was given in Banaras, Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai. At that time, the purpose of legal education was to prepare advocates and judicial officers who can help in administration. Before independence, people did not have much interest in legal education. Apart from this, many good advocates, lawyers, and barristers were there at that period. Even lawyers helped during freedom movement. At that time, right, at that time, running a law college was a work of loss. That's why no university tried to run any law college. There was difference in syllabus in different colleges. Somewhere syllabus was of 2 years and at some places of 3 years. In some universities, the first law course was too much oriented towards practice. In some universities, the approach was too general and the effort was to produce cultured and liberally educated persons. That time, no facility of good library and reading rooms. Full-time teachers were also not available. Were also not available. Full-time teachers. Lawyers were acting as time teachers to teach students. Advocates were busy in courts of Advocates were busy in courts for fully day and they used to deliver lectures in colleges. In very few colleges, there were full-time teachers, lack of research and low writing also. No arrangements were done for good books or reference books. Only some books were available, which were also written by advocates, but these were useful for lawyer or advocates rather than student. Before independence, there was very few high courts. Most of advocates were practicing in district courts. Supreme Appellate Court was in England. Only traditional law subjects were taught to students in colleges and universities. Some selected subjects like administrative law, labor law, taxation law were taught in universities. If any person wanted to become a good advocate, then he had to go to England to get degree of barrister or bar at law. Bar at law was considered or more reputed than LLB. According to Professor Arthur von Mehrain, the legal education of the time of before independence was not appropriate to solve the problems of law or to protect law system. Law and legal education in India, some observations such as legal education of before independence was neither practical nor at the level of educational or research. The chief object was to only prepare advocates who can run their business in courts. Two is legal education after independence. With the independence of country in 1947, a new chapter of legal education began. Our constitution makers, lawyers, judges, and law experts put their attention on development and reformation of legal education. The process of reform of legal education brought fast new dimension established in legal education. Many new syllabus were added there to increase the tendency of research. Supreme Court was established as the place of privy, council, high courts, and judicial authorities were constituted in districts. Now this concept started developing that law has an important place in democratic country. Legal education can be important in development of social and economic sector. This presumption was not only limited to advocates, jurists, or law teachers, but also of normal public. It is shared that Constitution of India has become a document of advocates. After 1950, a large number of constitutional matters came into existence, especially related to fundamental rights. Law occupation was also positively increased. As far as social and economic development started, along with that related law were constituted. Not only this, public interest litigation, pre-legal aid and law adalats were also came into existence. It is provided in Article 39A of Constitution that no person shall be deprived from justice only on the basis of poverty or other disability. It also affected legal education. The area of students and advocates became wide. Now they started to come forward in the fields of free legal education, legal literacy, consultancy. The importance of paralegal clinic and paralegal education increased. Not only this, now there is interference of law in business, occupation, industries or administration. It was felt that basic knowledge is necessary for all. Basic knowledge of law has become necessary for all those who are engaged in administration, trade of industry. A citizen to be effective in enjoyment of his clinic capacities need the basic knowledge of at least some aspect of law. Officials and others who perform important law roles, for example, policemen, businessmen, or politicians, need an understanding of parts of the law, its underlying policies and values. Evolutionary changes came in field of legal education after independence. Increased number of law students, increased establishment of law schools. Now the process of reform also increased. New syllables were prepared like LLM, PhD, LLD, diploma syllabus like diploma in criminal law, diploma in labor law, diploma in taxation law. diploma in legal research and format, diploma in international law. Along with this, new subject also came into existence like legal education and research method, etc. Major books of law are also publishing. The publication and tradition of Hindi law books increased. Government awards are also established in special law books of literature writing, etc. So that high-level books in Hindi can be available. Next, we will describe the object of the legal education. Up to this, thank you for your presence. Let us go through now criminology and criminal justice administration. What is criminology? Earlier we have defined, explained, described. And what is criminal justice administration? Now you are listening. Mention different schools of criminology. Discuss the classical school of criminology and its contribution to the development of criminal law. What are the different schools of criminology? Let us discuss briefly. Sociological school of criminology. Let us discuss the classical school of criminology. What are the basic difference between classical school and positive school? There are many branches of criminology, schools and group of thinkers. The origin or evolution of these branches has taken place as per the theories developed by criminologists. According to Sutherland, the school of criminology means the group of thinkers belonging to the same ideology about the causes and remedies of crimes. In other words, it can be said that the school of criminology means the group of thinkers who have similar ideology, thoughts about the origin, cause, and prevention of crime. Though Caesar Beccaria is considered as father of criminology, but according to country, time and circumstances, many theories of criminology have developed from the point of study. There are many schools of criminology. Pre-classical school, classical school, neoclassical school, typological school, sociological school, geographical and ecological school. Multi-factor school. Pre-classical school. It is the oldest school of criminology. Aquinas is considered as father of this school. This school developed during the Middle Age of 17th and 18th century. This school is divided into two parts. One is devil-based school. Two is free will-based school. Devil-based school is the oldest school. The school originated at the time when the spiritual thinking was at its extreme point. At that time, the power of God was considered as supreme. The view prevalent among the masses was that all deeds of a man are controlled by power of God. The same notion was prevalent about crimes. The general acceptance was that man commits crime under the influence of unknown power of devil, ghost, devil, giants, etc. The main causes of crime were the influence of powers of devil. The devilish powers excited man to commit crime. Thomas Aquinas, Hobbes, Locke, August, Comet, were considered as pro-founder of this theory. According to them, the man commits crime when the devilish power calls the man and control him. The man does not commit any crime voluntarily, and he does not like to commit it. It is the external devilish power which compels the man to commit crime. To be freed from devilish power, people generally took resort to havan, mantra, sacrifice, etc. at that time. Even the punishment was not certain for the crimes. Punishment was considered as the result of evil acts or anger or the anger of God. At that time, the school of free will also came into existence. Some thinkers consider it as part of classical school. What was classical school? Beccaria is considered as the father of classical school. Later on, Blackstone, Bentham, Romilly, Robert Peel, Burbage also became supporters of this school. The main or central point of this school is the free will of the man. According to this, whatever a man does, he does. Whatever a man does, he does according to his free will. In every word, he thinks about his good, bad, happiness and sorrow. Whatever he thinks good, he acts. The crime is also a result of it. If he gets happiness from doing of any act, he does it. Even if it is a criminal act. The main root of the school of free will is the materialistic philosophy. The utilitarian theory of Bentham is consistent with this theory. According to utilitarian theory, every man does his work according to utility. He evaluates utility in terms of happiness and sorrow, whether it may be a crime. The main characteristics of this school are as follows. One is the root cause of crime is the materialistic philosophy. A man does that act which gives him maximum happiness, whether the act may be of criminal nature. The determination of happiness and sorrow is made by the man himself. He is considered as the good judge of happiness and sorrow. The whole society is affected by crime. The objective of punishment is not the revenge of crime but the prevention of crime. The punishment must be certain. The immediate consideration of crime is expected. There should be a system of similar punishment for similar crimes. The law should be simple, clear, and understandable language. There should be codification of laws. The death penalty and jury system must be abolished. The reformatory theory should be given prudence in jails. The punishment must be consistent with the crime. In its criticism, we can define many critics have criticized the classical school. The critics have to say that the causes of crimes is not only the desire for happiness. Many times an aggrieved or person under pain commits crime. Two is the crime even does not depend upon the free will of the person. Many times the circumstances compel a man to commit crime. See, it is not just to create system of similar punishment for similar crime. The quantum of punishment should be determined according to the age, mental condition, conduct, economic condition of criminal, contribution in the development of criminal law. Despite criticism of classical school, despite criticism of classical school, it has contributed in the development of criminal law. The materialistic philosophy and the utilitarian have inspired the law makers to make such law which may lead to greatest good of the greatest number. The crime had been considered as public wrong and efforts were made to devise remedies for it. The codification of law was started. The new concept of reformation of criminal got strength. Supervision, condemnation, parole are the results of this reformative approach. Neoclassical school. The neoclassical school emerged as a result of weaknesses of classical school. The supporters of classical school believe that the punishment should be same for the same type of crime. They also believed in the theory that a man does that work which gives him greatest happiness, whether it may be crime. This theory of classical school did not convince many criminologists, and with the result, they developed new thinking known as neoclassical school. The main supporters of this school were Roshi, Gerald, Jolie, etc. According to neoclassical school, the main cause of commitment of crime, the main cause of commitment of crimes is not the sole desire for happiness or pleasure. Many times a person commits crime due to compulsion and circumstances. Personal inequalities are one of the cause of crimes. The same punishment for the same type of crime is not just. The quantum of punishment should be determined taking into account the causes, circumstances, age of criminal, character, mental condition of criminal. There should be a difference in punishment for habitual criminal and a person who commits crime for the first time. The same punishment for both is not proper. The quantum and form of punishment should be determined by judges. The judges are expected to use their wisdom while doing so. The opportunity should be given to the criminals to reform themselves. There should be proper provisions in the law for things like supervision, condemnation, parole, etc. While awarding punishment, the circumstances under which crime has been committed should be taken into account. In settlement of dispute, assistance should be taken from jury members. The opinion of jury may be very different, may be very important in prevention of crime. Thus, the neoclassical school emerged to remove the weaknesses of classical school. In the opinion of Linney, the neoclassical school emerged as a reaction to the theory of classical school. that there should be same punishment for the same crime. Donald R. Taft also shared the same thing, that the quantum of punishment should not be the same for the same crime, but must vary according to the age, character, and mental condition of criminal. Typological school says this theory emerged due to the weaknesses in the neoclassical school. The supporters of this school have to say that the causes of crimes are not only the materialistic philosophy, but also the personal characteristics of criminal, that is the physical condition and mental condition. According to them, the physical condition and mental state of criminals are different from other persons, and because of this difference they are recognized. In other words, it can be said that, in the opinion of the supporters of this theory, the main cause, the main causes of crime are the anthropological features. There is a direct relation between composition of human brain and criminality. The criminologists like Lombroso, Enrico Ferri, Rafael Garofalo are considered as the strong supporters of this school. This school is known as Italian school. In this context, psychological school or psychoanalysis school is also mentioned. The supporters of this school are Godard, Freud, etc. According to typological school, criminals are mainly of three types. According to typological school, one is the hereditary criminals, two is the insane criminal, three is primoids. Criminals are self-praising, ostentatious, indecent, terrible in appearance, etc. The physical structure of such persons are of abnormal nature. For example, round like a skull dome, the jaw viewed taller, the ears are long and thick, the nose is flat and wide, Lombroso. Senselessness, senselessness, social infirmity, geographical condition are also the causes of crime. According to Enrico Ferri has classified criminals into five groups. Born criminals. One is born criminals. Two is occasional criminals. Three is passionate criminals. Four is insane criminals. And five is habitual criminals. Next is a man commits crime only when he lacks pity and probity in his inner conscience. Garofalo says, according to Garofalo, the criminals are of four types. Murderers, one is murderers, Two is violent criminals. Three is criminals lacking in sentiment of probity. Four is lustful criminals. One of the causes of crime is mental infirmity. Owing to mental infirmity, man's power of understanding of the nature of work and its consequent becomes weak, and thus he commits crime according to Godard. Sexual instinct is also one of the causes of crime, according to Pride. Thus, the supporters of typological school consider different causes of crime, that is physical condition, that is physical constitution, mental condition, sexual desire, inferiority complex, lacking in pity and probity, etc. In sociological school, there is also called as sociological school. The supporters of this theory consider lack of money, economic disparity, poverty are the main causes of crime. When the difference between the rich and the poor becomes wider and wider, and the problem of poverty and unemployment becomes terrible, then a person commits crime. Marx, Engels, and Bomber are the main supporters of sociological theory. According to them, the main cause of class struggle is the capitalist economy. In the opinion of Bomber, there is a direct relationship between the economy and crime. The class struggle increases due to economic disparity and the man is induced towards crimes. Economic activities give rise to greed and selfishness, which are the main causes of crimes. The state of unemployment gives birth to vagabonds. The unemployed person thinks about committing a crime. Economic crisis give rise to drinking of wine and prostitution. Bonger says that for prevention of crime, there must be reorganization of society and there must be social ownership of means of production and consumption. The supporters to a sociological school say that in many cases the main cause of crime are social conditions. The main the man commits crime unwillingly as compelled by circumstances. Sutherland, Donald are Taft, Reckless, Egbert, and Cavan are considered as the strong supporters of this theory. In their opinion, the main causes of crimes are as follows. One is social disparity, two is social disorganization, three is economic disparity, four is unemployment and idleness, five is class discrimination, 6 is geographical atmosphere. 7 is society. 8 is polluted culture. 9 is social change. 10 is breach of duty. And 11 is overpopulation. According to Sutherland, the crimes are not invented, they are learned. The man does the type of work according to the type of society in which he lives. According to Reckless, the main cause of crimes is personal infirmity. When a person is not able to adjust himself with the society, he is induced to commit crime. Donald R. Taft considers social disorganization or social desolation as the cause of crimes. In the opinion of Akbar, the continuous change in the society gives rise to the commitment of crime. Cavan considers breach of duty is the main cause of crime. When a person does not perform his duty, he commits crime. Geographical and ecological school. There is one school of thoughts which places crime not in the body, brain, and social system, but traces it in the external atmosphere. This school of thought is called geographical and ecological school. The supporters of this theory trace the causes of crime in one is climate, two is natural resources, is geographical condition, etc. Montes, Hewlett, Guevara, Adolf, Lexon are the main supporters of this theory. According to these thinkers, the number of crimes committed in favorable social climate is less as compared that in adverse social climate. In summer, the crimes against human body, and in winter against property are committed. Crimes committed are more in overpopulated and crowded places. The number of crimes committed in areas of less fertile land is much more as compared to that in areas of more fertile land. The number of crimes committed in areas having less rainfall is more as compared to that in areas of reasonable rainfall. The number of crimes committed is less in the areas of abundant natural resources, but this number is more in deficient areas. The number of crimes committed is more near line of equator while they are less near the other lines. The number of crimes committed is less in plain lands while they are more in areas of valleys and mountains. According to Lombroso, Lexon has analyzed the crimes committed during different months. According to him, the crimes against human body are committed in the months of May and June, and against property in the month of December. Multi-factor school. The multi-factor school is the most popular school. The supporters of this school say that There are many causes of crimes. All schools of thoughts of East consider one factor, finish as the cause, while the multi-factor school consider many factors as causes of crimes. According to them, there is no definite scientific theory. This school of thought is supported by the multi-factor approach of crime given by William Hawley. This school of thought interprets the crime in a very liberal way. Albert Cohen is the main critic of this theory, but his criticism did not get much recognition. Dear friends, let's discuss next what is the main contribution of Lombroso to criminology, and we will explain and illustrate his theory of criminology. What is Lombroso regarded as father of modern criminology? Is Lombroso theory of criminology relevant in the present perspective? So these are some of the topics or titles that we discussed later on. Please continue your presence. Now we are going to discuss pathology and victimology. Let us define the term punishment. What are its characteristics? What is difference between law of punishment and ethics and also morality? The more popular, famous, and popular the word punishment is, the more difficult its definition is. It is difficult to capture the word punishment in any given definition according to the form in which this word is prevalent in the general public. It is not easy to have its dictionary definition. Nevertheless, jurists and jurists have tried to define it from time to time. It is said by Westermarck, punishment is limited to such suffering as it is inflicted upon the offender in a definite way by or in the name of the society of which he is a member. According to Professor Setna, punishment is some sort of social censor and not necessarily involving infliction of physical pain. According to Enric Ferry, punishment is a legal deterrent. According to Walter Reckless, punishment is a means of social control. A group seeks redress for a wrong, an injury, or for a violation of law and custom. Society or person in authority conceives of punishment as a device to hold person in time, to maintain status quo, to induce conformity. Giving the definition of punishment, Sutherland says that two things are necessary for punishment. One is punishment is given by the society or community in its capacity to the person who is a member of that society or community. Two is punishment involves suffering which is considered justified according to social values. Sir Walter Moberly adopting the definition given by Grotius for punishment has considered the following things necessary for punishment. One is whatever is represented or given as punishment is bad and hurtful. Punishment is given for acts which are not recognized by the state. Punishment and action are related to each other. Punishment is given for voluntary acts done by a person. Punishment is given to the offender or to the person who has committed the criminal act on behalf of the offender. The following elements of punishment become clear from the study of the above definition of punishment. Punishment is an agony, tribulation, or torture. It hurts. It is given to a person who is guilty of any wrongdoing, tort, or crime. It is given by society, community, king, or state. Punishment of directly related to the act for which it is given. Punishment was given voluntarily, that is, for intentional acts, which is the concept of punishment in the mind of the common man as well. It cannot be denied that punishment is a torment. A torment. This pain or torture is to suffered by such a person who commits any crime or wrong. Its main purpose is not only to prevent crimes as well as to create fear among the society and accused person so that no person can be inclined towards crime. What are the characteristics of it? Now let us consider the features of punishment and penal law. It is undeniable and well known that crime is a disease, a social evil. It is dangerous for the society. It is because of crimes that the entire social and national life gets disturbed. Punishment and punishment method diagnose such diseases. It is a code of rules related to a human conduct. If it is the reason that some features of punishment and punishment are clearly visible, such as politeness, politeness is an essential feature of penal law. The politics behind the penal law is the eminence of the effective violation of rules promulgated by the state is considered a crime. The rules promulgated by the state are related to human conduct. Its speciality is another feature of penal law. This distinction is due to the conflict and antagonism between the criminal law and the civil law. Civil law is a simple law, whereas criminal law gives a firm definition of any specific act of human conduct, and in case of any doubt in its meaning, the court decides in favor of the accused. What is uniformity? The third characteristic of penal law is uniformity or regularity. Criminal law is committed to provide equal justice to every person without any discrimination. In this, there is no discrimination between person to person. The quantum and nature of punishment dogs. The quantum and nature of punishment does not depend on the social status of the person but on his criminal act. Penalty. Punitive penalty is the fourth feature of penal law. The main purpose of penalty is to punish the people who violate the laws by the state. Due to punishment, fear prevails in the society, and due to fear, people do not turn towards crime. If there is no fear of punishment in the individual and society, then the possibility of spreading anarchy becomes strong. Fear of punishment is necessary even for following the laws. Two specific principles of punishment. The following two specific principles have been propounded in the Indian Constitution and other laws regarding the applicability of punishment. Double jeopardy safety principle. An important protection has been provided to the accused under Article 22 of the Constitution of India. According to this protection, no accused can be prosecuted or punished for the same offence more than once. This is called the principle of double jeopardy protection. This principle is based on the formula of the Anglo method that nemo vivat prodem causa vis vexor. This principle is also in line with the principles of natural justice. A similar arrangement has been made in this US Constitution. According to the Constitution, no person can be put in danger again for the same offense. It can also be said that no person shall be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of death. A similar arrangements A similar arrangement has been made in Section 300 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. A person who has once been tried by a court of competent jurisdiction for an offence and convicted or acquitted of such offence shall, while such conviction or acquittal remains in force, not be liable to be tried again for the same offence, nor on the same facts for any other offence for which a different charge from the one made against him might have been made under subsection 1 of section 221, or for which he might have been convicted under subsection 2 thereof. The case of Kalavati versus the state of Himachal Pradesh, EIR 1953, section 131, has an important case on this subject. In this case, three things have been shared necessary for the applicability of the principle enunciated in Article 22 of the Constitution. The person must be an accused. The prosecution has been brought before any court or tribunal and is of a judicial nature. The Constitution has been convicted of the offence punishable under the law of prosecution. It may be mentioned here that the provision of Article 22 of the Constitution shall not apply in cases where a second prosecution is being conducted for another offence. Article 2022 where the re-prosecution for the same offence and not the prosecution for another offence. In the case of Makbul Hassan versus State of Bombay, AIR 1953 SC 325, the accused was prosecuted under the C Customs Act and convicted and punished. He was later prosecuted for the offence committed under the Indian Penal Code. It was determined by the Supreme Court that the second prosecution was not there as it was tried for another offence which was different from the first. Thus it is an important principle protecting the accused from double punishment for the same offence. Principle of protection from statutory rigors. It is a well-established principle of criminal law that no person should be punished for any such act unless that act is an offence punishable by any law. This theory is based on the formula that non puna sine lege. This principle can also be taken as no one's behavior comes within the scope of an offence unless it is defined as an offence under any law and declared to be punishable. This theory is varied and practical as well. If an act is not declared a punishable offence, then it is not justified to punish any person for that. If this principle is not there, then there will always be a fear in the mind of every person that not knowing when which act should be declared a crime. This principle can also be seen that no act can be declared, no act can be declared to be punishable with retrospective effect. That is, if the act is not an offence on the date of its committing, then by making a law, it cannot be made an offence punishable with retrospective effect. For example, a person portrays a woman in a vulgar form as an advertisement at the time when this act is done, it is not an offence punishable under any law. Later, an initiative is taken to take any legal action by objecting to such advertisement. By making a law or amending the existing law by the legislature, such an act is declared an offence. That person cannot be punished for an act previously advertised under this law. In simple words, it can be said that penal law cannot be applied retrospectively. Such methods can be applied only with a prospective effect. In the matter of Chief Inspector of Mines versus Casey Upper, AIR 1961 SC 838, it was held by the Supreme Court that if an act at the time it was done was not an offence, it cannot be declared an offence at a later stage. Another similar case of Parit versus the state of Kerala, AIR 1967, Kerala 155. In this non-payment of panchayat tax under any law for the time being enforced was not an offence. Later it was declared a crime by making law. The implementation of this law was retrospective effect has been considered unconstitutional. Article 20 one of the Constitution also states that no person shall be convicted of any offence except for violation of the law enforced at the same enforced at the time of the commission of the act charged as an offence, nor be subjected sorry, to a penalty greater than that which might have been inflicted under the law enforced at the time of the commission of the offence. In this way, two types of arrangements have been made in Article 21 of the Constitution. Whether a person has been convicted of an offence prescribed under the law only and shall be punished with only such punishment for an offence as is prescribed by law at the time of the commission of the offence, not with more punishment than that. Law, punishment, and ethics. Criminal law and ethics are two different concepts. That is a difference between these two. Namely, criminal law relates to the actual conduct of the person, whereas ethics is concerned with ideals. Criminal law regulates social relations between individuals, whereas ethics discusses the high ideals and character rules of a person. Criminal law refers to the basic rules that are required to maintain harmony in social relations, whereas ethics points to the goodness of higher ideals. Criminal law is a prevalent public opinion, whereas ethics is an absolute norm. The acceptance of the state or sovereign lies behind the criminal law, whereas there is no such acceptance behind ethics. Fear prevails behind the punishment, whereas there is nothing like fear behind ethics. Criminal law essentially applies to individual. Criminal laws essentially applies to individual, whereas ethics does not necessarily apply. Law of punishment and morality, like criminal law and ethics. The difference is also found between criminal law and morality, such as the criminal law is related to such acts which are considered bad in the context of public opinion and for which punishment is given, whereas morality has a close relationship with those acts which are considered moral and good in terms of individual and society. The acceptance of state or sovereign lies behind the criminal law, whereas there is no such acceptance behind morality. When the rules of morality become very popular and prevalent, they can be adopted as a method, whereas the rules of law cannot be converted into morality. Dear listeners and learners, let us discuss tomorrow Briefly, the various punishments provided in the Indian Penal Code 1860. Now, let us discuss privileged class deviance, privileged class divines, and juvenile delinquency. What is the meaning of privileged class deviance? Privileged class divines. What are its types? Discuss in brief. Discuss the notion of privileged class divines. State the various kinds of it. What do you understand by the term divines? What are the different kinds of divines? Our society is mainly divided into two classes, the strong class and the weak class. Strong class means a class whose members are often strong in all respects, such as social, political, economic, educational, religious, governmental or non-governmental service, trade, business, profession, business, etc. The weaker section is weak in all respects such as social, economic, political, trade, business, etc. Generally poor, uneducated, backward class people, general employees, etc. fall into the weaker section. The strong class governs the weak class. It also tortures and exploits them. Mostly, the conduct of such a class is selfish, autocratic, dictatorial, and corrupt. They have nothing to do with public interest and public welfare. Such a class normally stays in its selfishness. The class of such people is called privileged class, and their so-called trend is called privileged class divines. What are its definitions? From the above discussion, the definition of privileged class and privileged class deviants are clear. What are privileged class? Privileged class means a class who, due to their high social, economic, political, commercial power, makes a special place in the society and gets some special rights over other classes. Such persons are called eminent persons of the society. Individuals from privileged classes influence individuals of other classes. Sometimes they also have an undue influence. These classes illegally take advantage of their special status. Privileged class divines when the privileged classes misuse their power or conditions, try to take undue advantage or the use untimely influence on other classes. They are called privileged class divines. The word divines means to deviate, be displeased and depart from his duties. According to Oxford Dictionary, divines means to deviate or move from one's path. Sometimes it is called aberrancy. Overall, it can be said that moving from one's duties is deviance. It can be said that moving from one's duties is deviance. The following persons are generally covered under the review of privileged class. Wealthy person, high bureaucratic person, police, judge, engineer, doctor, lawyer, landlord, industrialist, politician, religious leader. Types. There are many types of privileged class divines, such as an official divines, professional divines, official divines, professional divines, politics divines, official position divines, trade union divines, journalism divines, medical divines. Broadly, divines can be classified into following classes: rich class, bureaucratic class, newly wealthy class, professional class, class of religious leaders, class of other powerful people. The divines of these classes is as follows: official divines, business divines, trade union divines, landlord divines, police divines, political leaders divines. Corruption agents are the good example of official divines. Following persons are come under this category. Judges, the judges, executive official, bureaucrat, politician, MLA. Business divines, this category demands many times such association also come down on violence. Such trade associations are mainly of the following classes: labor union, teachers union, advocate, council, and other trade union. Landlord divines, they are big land masses. In this class, these people exploit and prosecute small and poor farmers. They charge a heavy amount in the form of rent and taxes. Bonded labor are also taken. Agricultural laborers are not given adequate wages. These are following person come under the necessary lathi charge and firing, etc. Next is electoral divines. Electoral divines is also widespread. Healthy and clean elections are inevitable in democracy. Leaders, voters, people involved in the electoral process are expected to conduct free and fair elections. But today, the situation is very frightening. Electronically corrupt means are used in elections. Violence and sabotage is done. Fake voting happens. Alcohol and bribes are used extensively. Caste and religion-based voting is resorted to. Votes are looted. The voters are lured. Religious divines. Religious divines is also increasing day by day. Religion is the root cause of this. In the name of religion, people are confused and misled. In the name of religion, people immoral acts are done by the religious leaders. Society is divided in the name of religion. People are motivated to consume drugs. Superstitions and indiscipline in the society are brought about through the dens and dens. Fake temples were built which became the basis of luxury. Antisocial divines. Some antisocial elements of the society spread disorder in the society. They break the law and order. They spread violence and riots through strike, closure, dharna, persecution, procession, etc. They disrupt public life. They do activities like molestation, shame, and rape with females. It can be said antisocial divines, such elements misuse their power instead. Dear brothers and sisters, next tomorrow we will discuss what is meant by official divines, and we will state the permissible limits of discretionary powers of official authorities. Now let us go through cyber crimes, which is the most popular today in this digital, electronical, technical world. There we see the advancement in the different fields, need and importance of cyber law. Cyberspace originated in the 1990s. As we read in the history, there was the starting of one in 1980. In 1990, it was the usage of 2G. At that time, cyberspace originated in the 1990s, and the paradigm of its development it has closed today is unimaginable in itself. Even today, this development is happening rapidly in every field. Business, education, health, banking, knowledge science, transportation, communication, space, employment not untouched by its effect. Anyone is free to do anything anywhere in cyberspace. Its overlap in human life and its freedom of use has made our life very convenient and easy. It has also given rise to many new problems before us. There are many such crimes, including internet crimes, including cyber terrorism, fraud, interference in people's privacy, child pornography, which have become a challenge for the civilized society. Therefore, a strong and effective cyber method is necessary for the regulation of cyberspace. So today, many crimes are happening through computer and internet, such as EFT, fraud, credit card fraud, online gambling, virus attack, blackjacking, pornography, salami attack, forgery, email, spoofing, service attack, denial of service attack, cyber defamation, cyber terrorism, cyber attack privacy, cyber attack privacy violation, child pornography, etc. Today, countless crimes are being committed very easily using the internet. Some of the main ones are acquisition and data, transmission of pornographic material, unauthorized atrocities, withdrawal of unauthorized funds from financial institutions, copyright infringement, broadcast of harmful programs, breach of privacy laws, government website hacking, cyber extortion, computer virus, impersonation, logic spamming, email bombing, Trojan horse, cyber terrorism, etc. An effective and strong cyber method is necessary to prevent all these cyber crimes. The use of internet and cyberspace without effective cyber method is no longer free from danger. Thus, as much as there is a need for internet and cyberspace today, there is also a need for cyber law regulating their use. Therefore, an effective cyber method is not only necessary but indispensable today. The importance of cyber laws in today's highly digitalized world. The importance of cyber method is increasing due to the following reasons. As the digitalization of every work or service is increasing, cyber crimes are also increasing in the same proportion. Therefore, cyber law is necessary to prevent crimes. All companies, whether small or large, depend on their computer network. These companies keep their valuable data in electronic form. Therefore, effective cyber law is important for their protection. Many forms related to government departments, including income tax return, company law forms, etc., are now filled electronically. Their security and privacy is not possible without strong and effective cyber laws. Today, credit cards and debit cards are being used extensively for shopping. There is always the possibility of fraud in this. Therefore, effective cyber law is also essential to protect consumers from fraud. Today, most of the people of the country use mobile, email, SMS for communication, etc. is dependent. Therefore, cyber law is also important for the protection of their right to privacy. Today, in cases of non-cyber crimes, important evidence is collected from electronic devices like computers, mobile phones, etc. Evidence of divorce, murder, kidnapping, organized crime, drug dealing, counterfeit currency, operation of terrorist incidents, etc. is difficult to gather without the help of computer, mobile phone, etc. Therefore, effective cyber law is necessary for the regulation as well. Today, most of the activities of money transactions are being conducted through internet, World Wide Web, and cyberspace. They are also being misused in large quantities, so cyber law is also necessary for their regulation. Thus, as the use of internet and cyberspace is increasing in our life, effective cyber laws are also becoming necessary and important for us. Thank you, all my brothers and sisters, those who are listening. Next tomorrow we will discuss define cybercrime. This type is various types. What is cybercrimes? How many types of which are state? These are various types of cybercrime. Very important chapter in this modern time for the listeners and learners. Thank you, all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, respected ministers and managers, adorable doctors and directors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, the most honorable President and Sumali, I heartily cordially welcome. Thanks all of you.